Hello, hello. Good evening, everyone. I hope you are well, healthy, enjoying summertime. Really excited to have another lean innovation webinar together. Lean innovation is a topic very dear to my heart. We have a lot of opinion on it. We like to be opinionated about what we do. So I would like to share some of my insights, have some back and forth with you. And see what we can achieve together. Great. So I'll introduce myself briefly after everyone join. Usually people join 5 minutes or so after the webinar starts. I'll speak briefly about what I do, what is our craft, what is our services, and what have you. But before that, I would really love to get to know you, as always. How many of you it's your first time? Oh, well, basically, how many of you are second timers and third timers out of curiosity? If you scan this barcode, you would go to this link. This is a survey I put together to get to know you. That would be fantastic if you could fill the survey so I know where you're coming from. I will introduce myself briefly, shortly. I will talk to you about what I do, why you should be listening to me on this matter. I would like to understand some of your questions on this topic. It's a very niche topic. It's not one of the most popular webinars that we run. It's very niche on innovation, especially it's a very popular topic in terms of corporate innovation and large scale innovation. So that's something, that's why it's very dear to my heart. It's something that I see a lot of potential in it. I would like to share why I think there is a lot of potential. Yeah, run just a second. Okay, please refresh. I activated the wrong section of the survey. Sorry. I think that's now better. Okay. Berliners are in the house. Product owners, growth theme. Oh, lovely. Lean innovation is great for growth theme leads. Growth leads especially. CX manager, project manager, human computer. Okay, cool. Meetup, LinkedIn, Eventbrite. Nice, very cool. Let me pull up another round of questions. I think that's interesting. So what I would love to know, what comes to mind on the topic of rapid innovation or lean innovation? What are your thoughts? What are your curiosities? Design sprint, exactly. It's one of the good ways of tackling that. And talk about briefly about why design sprint may not be a good way or good methodology to test certain for especially early stage product validation. I'll talk about that deeply. That's why we came up with our lean innovation sprint. How familiar are you with the design thinking process? Okay, not so much. With the design sprint process, okay. 1 to 5 is great, okay. It should be more, but 1 to 5 is a good start. Great, cool. Let me introduce myself, and we get to the topic really quickly. I think I wanna start the conversation, but in the chat, in the crowdcast, in case you have a question, you have a curiosity, write it down so I can. Just a second. Cool. So who am I and why you should be listening to me? My name is Behrad Mir Afshar. I don't know how many of you know me. I run an innovation studio called Bonanza Design, based in Berlin, Germany. These are my links, and we help corporates, startups to drive innovation with data in typical 5-week sprints, right? And one of the packages that we offer is called Lean Innovation Sprint, and that's why you are here. That's a webinar. I talk about this package. I go really deeply about. I go deep in the ways you can validate early stage product ideas, early stage business ideas, and early stage future ideas. Right. So I'll talk about these 3 topics separately. Who am I and why you should be listening to me? This August, fun fact, it will be 10 years, a decade that I have been in Berlin, Germany. I have been active in startup scene ever since. I don't know so much about corporate culture. Hey, Jamie. I'm just a startup boy, so to speak. So, and that's why the growing demand for our services have surprised me personally. I did not expect that we would grow that much in the past 2 years, and we usually work with 2 type of clients. Fast startups, they want to get ahead of the game faster, or big companies that they know that they are slow and they need a team to come in and turn things around quickly in a matter of weeks. So that's what we do at Bonanza Design, and that's what I am really good at, because given I grew up in Berlin startup scene, I had to live and breathe agile. So and the processes that we design for Bonanza Design, both on lean innovation and app UX design, are entirely inspired by design sprint process and agile methodology, especially Scrum. Right. So and I'm going to talk about lean innovation, early stage product validation. Right. And then we go deep in this. Before, I would like to understand a bit your perspective on lean innovation and early stage product validation, or product validations in general. I would like to present to you a burning question. What kind of challenges you are facing, and how can you use lean innovation to solve those challenges? in the chat any curiosity you have about the topic and why you got here in this webinar. Would be amazing if you can share with me. So based on this, I will pull up my Figma file and we are going to have a mini workshop together. Why do you think lean innovation is a useful method? How are you going to use it in your own project? What kind of problems or challenges do you want to solve with a lean innovation method? Cool. B2C prototype, okay. All right. B2C talk. Oh, that's really easy, Akul. B2C is great. B2C is easy. B2B is difficult. B2C, Google surveys, ads, landing pages is great for you. But it's an application, it seems you're developing. So let's talk about this. So answer me this question. When we how do you go about validating, and how do you go about scaling an innovation enterprise? Right? No. It's how do you go about validating an idea? That's an easier question. How do you go about validating an idea? Where do you start? So let's just talk about this. Focus group interviews. Why do you want to do that, John? What do you want to get out of it? There are 27 people here. So let's work together. How do you go about validating an idea? Simple as that. We are product managers, owners, designers. Let's go. Discovery depending of the projects. Domi, what does it mean discovery depending on the project? Prototype. Why? What is a prototype? What do you do with the prototype? Discovery phase. I like that, Domi. So let's talk about first. So anyone in any client meeting and any stakeholder meeting, if someone talk to you about idea, hey, let's brainstorm ideas, let's let's validate ideas, right? Let's work on this idea. First and foremost, you have to ask them, what do you mean by an idea? Right? So what is an idea? First of all, what is an idea? You have to ask this question from your stakeholders, right? An idea, an innovative idea manifests itself on three independent yet codependent layers. So let me go deeper here. An idea manifests itself on three independent yet at the same time codependent levels, right? What are these ideas? What are these levels? Level 1, when you think about an innovation enterprise or scaling an innovation idea, each innovative idea could seed to different, I'm looking for the right word, it could plant different seeds. An innovative idea could plant different seeds. The first seed, the top level, the deep level seed, let's call it like this. It could birth to a new business model, right? That's a deep level seed. The medium level, the one in between, is a product idea. A product, not an idea. It's a product, right? The top level seed in the case of a digital product, no. Top level seed in both cases of a digital and physical product is a set of functionalities that you can interface with and interact with. Are you following with me? So when we talk about what is an idea, you gotta think about at which level you are thinking, at which level you are in. Are you validating a business model? Are you validating a product idea? Are you validating at the functionality concept level? Right? And depending on which level, which seed you are, you need to employ different research methods to validate your ideas. Are we clear on this? Are you following me? On a scale from 1 to 3. Oh, 1 to 10. 1, I don't follow. 10, I follow. Fantastic. Exactly. Melbourne, not, I think we are on the same, we're meaning the same thing, right? Not sure. Let's talk about it. In case you feel like there is a level above it, explain more, right? But here's the thing: never ever use an idea before you are clear about at which level you are talking about. In the world of innovation, this is crucial. God forbid you are at the stakeholder meeting and there is a more experienced person in the meeting and you keep talking about idea and they say, hey, what do you mean by ideas? If you're not clear about at which level you're talking about, it might become embarrassing. So be clear, first of all. Are you talking about, when we talk about an innovative idea, you got to ask yourself, are we talking about an addition, an additional product to an already running business model? Are we talking about founding a completely new business and introducing a new category to what we already had before? Or are we talking about adding new functionalities to a product? These are different levels, that requires different level of testing, design effort, and validation efforts. So on the business model level, we do different way of research. We do trend analysis. We do a lot of smoke tests, landing pages, LinkedIn posts, what have you. These are different. Also, we do a lot of customer development in terms of qualitative interviews, right? So it's very crucial at this point to have an understanding of the business model that you want to design. Expert interviews are also a very strong instrument by which you can validate some of your business model ideas. But when it comes to validating a business model, you got to validate the business model on 4 different fronts. Can you tell me and what are those fronts are? To launch a new business, there are 4 types of risks that you have to validate upfront. Otherwise, your business would go down the history. No one would remember that business 6 months later. There are 4 types of risks. What are those risks? Can you tell me? For a business model, for a new business model. Let's talk about it. Ideas. Unit economics. Yeah, yes. You mean how much does that product cost? That's too soon. First, you gotta validate the value. What we're trying to do as a business would have value for the customers. We have to check our value propositions first and foremost. We have to validate it, right? Second thing that we have to check that is very important in my opinion is business risk. Combination of legal plus cost, revenue, operation. Can we really scale this business? Right? That's very important. Especially for fintech businesses. How many fintech businesses are here? How many people work in fintech? Fintech. Anyone? For fintech, legal business risk is huge. No one works in fintech, really. No one works. Oh wow, I cannot believe it. 27 people and none of us working for fintech company. Amazing. Okay. The next one is tech risk. Can we build it really? Do we have the tech for it? Are we a tech company? First of all, do we need to invest 10 million to put together a tech department, or can we build it? So, for example, the Achilles heels of a lot of insurance providers, like big insurance providers, is like they want to become a tech provider to be able to push digital solutions, but they don't have that capacity. Lastly, it would be UX risk, right? Especially for digital products, right? So to validate the business model, you have to tackle these 4 types of risk. First and foremost, you have to tackle the types of value risk. If you cannot create value for your customers, doesn't really matter. Your business is not going to succeed, right? So value risk is the first and foremost risk that you have to validate and get out of the way. Like business economy, unit economics, cost, revenue, operation, logistics. These are solvable problems, right? Value, what you're offering to your customers, is not solvable. If you cannot find that secret recipe, the secret sauce by which you can capture the attention and commitment of a good portion of a growing market, choose goodbye, sayonara. It's not going to cut it for you. Value risk is crucial, important. You feel me on this? No value, no value, goodbye. You've got no business. Is it clear why you have to do the value risk first? You have to validate the value first and foremost. Are you with me? Is anyone listening to me? Am I talking to myself? Yeah. Amazing. Cool. So, and these are your tools: trend analysis, smoke tests, landing pages, LinkedIn posts, qualitative interviews, TikToks, Instagram reels, whatever. Wherever your target market is, you have to be there, and you have to ask them systematically through experiments. Not about their opinions. You have to simulate that business as if it exists, put some offerings in front of them, and see whether they are going to pick it up, whether they are excited enough to reach out to you, to want your product that you don't have, right? You got to fake it and see whether the customers, your potential customers, would want it. I can go on this and say like what we do, how we run experiments. What is 2022, and I think you all have read Lean Startups, the book. Just a minute, sorry. Just a minute. O mi yere وایسی. Sorry for that. So it's 2022. Lean startup is a topic, is not a new topic. So I assume you can run experiment by yourself. But the idea here is you never ask about your customer's opinion ever. If you're asking about your customer opinion directly in their face, you are not building you're not building products. This is not the way we do things. When it comes to lean innovation and validation, you have to fake it. You have to fake it as if it exists and expose it to a large portion of audience, not 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 people in user interviews. Those are crap. You cannot validate the business model by just talking to 5 people. That's not how things go. You need to gain response at scale. You need scale. If you want to push a product to the entire German market, you cannot talk only to 5 people and pour in $5 million or euro into that business and build it because you talked to 5 people and they said, this is a great idea, right? You need to systematically run experiments to a large portion of market, simulate that business, fake that product, and see whether people press on that button and would like to work with you and commit to your product and business. Is this clear? Product. So you validate your business model, right? Validating business model doesn't require so much efforts. you need to put, for example, in the case of landing page, you launch a landing page, you talk about your business promises, vaguely, not vaguely, briefly enough, talk about your potential business product of the business model, and put it to test, right? And you want to gauge attention. You want to gauge attention, and you want to gauge commitment. When we conduct testing on the business model, I try to elaborate as much as possible on the product offering to make sure that we really can test the value. Some other lean innovators, they want to test the business promises more and unique value proposition. And if, for example, if the unique value proposition, a monitoring application for parents to take care of, to monitor their kids' activities, they don't talk so much about what goes into that application, right? I prefer to really break down the product offerings, especially on the business model. So that's the difference. At least that's my approach. Product. So for every given business model or business idea, there could be multiple product candidates. Let me repeat. For every business idea, there could be multiple product candidates. What does that mean? Can you explain this to me? For every business idea, there could be multiple product candidates. How does this mean? What does this even mean? Talk to me. No takers. I like it, Janelle. So let me go. Let me talk in the term of example. Love that, Mel. Fantastic. So here's the thing. If we say, okay, we want to build a business about, so the cyber threat is a huge potential opportunity for a business, especially cyber threat for families, right? So we realize that there is a huge potential opportunity to build a business around cyber threat for families. It's a keyword, it's a trend, right? For this specific business opportunity, especially if you want to look at it from the lens of insurance, it could be an all-around insurance product for families. Value, the USP, the value proposition is protection. Feel me? For digital insurance providers that they have tech capability, it could be a digital monitoring app for parents. Right? So this is a business opportunity. Can you give me another product idea? Let's brainstorm. The business opportunity is cyber threat for families, right? And you're working with the insurance provider that has digital capabilities. So I gave you two examples of potential product ideas that we can think of. An all-around insurance product product for families, protection, digital monitoring for app for parents. The value proposition is monitoring, prevention, Can you give me another example of product ideas that we can think about for this client of ours? A subscription services that protect family data. Great, Jackson. Great. Thank you very much. Let me put it in there. Word for word. What's the value proposition you're offering? Protection. Another protection. Right? So when a client come to me, say, hey, I have this business idea, what can I do with it? Means that they are sure that the business, there's potential for this business idea or business opportunity. Then we need to start working on the product level. We need to ideate type of products that we could include and see as part of that business model. Internet, interesting, man. Really cool. What are internet waves? I don't understand them. Talk to me. So, right. So when you want to validate product ideas, got it. Wi-Fi. So when you want to validate product ideas, then you need to still you can use these methods that I mentioned to you, especially for an all-around insurance product for families. You need, again, for any, when we talk about validation, okay, let's talk about this. When we talk about validation, what do we talk about? What is validation? Talk to me. What is validation? Validation, in my idea, in my way of doing innovation, is that if I want to launch a product to a big market, I need to be able to expose that idea to 10,000, 20,000 people in that market and test the performance of that product. If your total market is at around 1 million, 5 million, 10 million, 20 million consumers, you cannot test your ideas with only 5 people, 10 people. You need 1,000 people exposure, 20,000 people exposure. That's what I mean by validation. So when you want to validate any product idea on its entirety, you need scale, you need a big sample size, right? Without scale, you cannot validate anything. So people who run design sprints for new product and businesses, they are wasting their time. You need to first validate whether there is a business viability, whether there is a commercialization potential for that business idea first, whether that business idea can scale in that market. So you need to test at scale. That's what I mean by validation. So when it comes to product ideas as such in front of you, you can use landing pages, you can use ads, you can use LinkedIn posts, a combination. So for example, we use LinkedIn posts with landing pages. We use Google Ads with landing pages. We use TikToks with landing pages, or we use Instagram posts with Calendly. So the different combination. We create a sales. We basically simulate that business sales pipeline, and we capture numbers. We pour traffic to it, and we try to test that business idea or product idea and report back in the form of total impression, time on site, customer lifetime value, cost per click, conversion rate, and what have you. So that's what I mean by validation and testing, right? Certain product idea, for example, a digital monitoring app for parents that has a very, very interface side to it, right? You need to validate that too, right? You need to test whether that interface is usable, and you can deliver your business value or product values through that interface. But that comes next. First, again, you have to test whether that specific product ideas with those set of future lists, with those customer pain points that you have identified, resonate with a good portion of your total market. Are you clear with me at this? Are we on the same page? So whatever you do on validation, it has to come with scale. It has to come with a large sample size. Aisha, how do we do this? Is B2C is actually very easy. B2C is basically based on your trends. So for example, if you're in the health sector, if you want to push a retail health product, you need to look into your target market. Is it Germany? Is it Brazil? Is it France? If it's France, which cities you are targeting? Is it Paris and Marseille and big cities? Let's say you want to focus on Paris, then you got to look into Google Trends and see and Instagram trends and TikTok trends. You see on which platform we get a lot of activities, right? Where people that are obsessed about health get their information. Where the attention goes, you go, right? If you realize that a lot of activities around health in French market or in Paris market happens on Instagram, you push your ads in on Instagram. If you see that it happening in Google, you push your ads on Google. If you see it happening on Facebook, you push your ads on Facebook. Where the attention goes, you go. So that's on the product level. So you got to test all these different product ideas, right? Then when you're clear about, for example, that digital monitoring app for parents is giving us basically, we're getting a lot of good responses in terms of KPIs, as I mentioned to you, cost per click, conversion rate, click-through rate, total impression, customer lifetime value. Then you are going to work on the concept level. That's the top level that we are talking about. Concept level, you gotta conceptualize, design, and test the concept of that application. That happens on the concept level, right? And on this level, then you need to use different techniques. At this level, you can use old-fashioned prototyping and user testing. How many of you have worked with design sprints? How many of you participated in design sprint? You can use design sprints, right? Few sprints of design sprints, right? At this level, basically these are your dominant tools at this level to test your concept ideas. For every app, for example, if you want to design a meditation app, you can come up with different concepts, right? When it comes to functional application like fintech or invoicing or HR, your variation would be your concept that you can come up with would reduce, because for an invoicing application, it's pretty straightforward. You cannot reinvent the wheel here. You just need to come up with the invoicing interface. Invoicing experience is pretty standard. But when you work in new categories like NFTs, Web3, meditation, healthcare, diets, whatever, then there are different concept candidates that you could think of and ideate and um, yeah. So then at concept level, you should be using prototyping and user testing predominantly. You can rely on design sprints. How many of you know about design sprint or participated in design sprints workshops? Anyone? Cool. Design sprint workshops are great at concept level, and that's why we don't use it on product and business model level. Um, when you are sure of the potential of your business model, when you test and validate your product idea and finalize it, and the way you test your product ideas, you have to test it against other ideas. You cannot validate only one product idea. So whenever we do validation in lean startups, um, the way we validate ideas is by iteration and testing one idea against each other, right? So whenever we run a validation test, bring in multiple business ideas, multiple product ideas, multiple concept ideas, not one. We always have to battle these ideas against each other. The survival of fittest, the one that performs the best in relation to the other candidates and in relation to industry standards would win, and we move it to the next level. Clear? So you always want to test an idea against some other ideas that you have. So for example, when you brainstorm a lot of product ideas and you say, okay, and you are biased towards one and you only want to work on one, you are not validating that. You always validate a product idea in relation to a set of product ideas that you have on your table, right? And that's how you can test whether one idea can stand the chance of experimentation and validation. So that's basically how you go about to validate an idea in nutshell in a good 48 minutes. Any questions? No questions. Jackson, is great question. That's a very good question, and often it's the case. The stakeholders are very biased towards one. So, but you can be very clever about this. So, if they come in with one idea, you can offer them many variations and test the variation against each other, right? So that's what I do. Especially that's often my case with my clients. They come in, say, Behrad, we want to make this idea or product idea. We would love for you that you validate this product idea in German market, right? So before, when I was younger, I would be really, really guarding against it. But now I'm a bit like, I have more experience. I run an ideation workshop or several ideation workshop and try to come up with alter an alternative to that initial idea, right? So it's like, okay, and this way I can get their buying easier. It's like the difference between this your initial idea and the rest are just really in minor details. Let's test them all against each other. Jackson, was it clear? That's what I do. If someone has a product idea they're prototyping, how can they validate different ideas? If someone has a product idea they're prototyping, I try to understand, Akul, your... So you're talking about the concept level. You're trying to talk, you're not on the product level, right? Do you mean split A/B or different product values or features? No. So it's the way you do the way you conduct tests on concept level is, I usually do one-on-one user testings, right? And I do it in iteration, multiple tests, right? And I would try to put together different app ideas, right? And for example, an app version 1 has use case included, use case 1, use case 2, and each use case is, let's say, is a feature. Use case 3, right? And then another concept, it's called concept, has use case 1, use case 3, and 4, and use case 5, right? You're playing the game of Lego. You put together different features and put together experience and try to test that experience. Like, and you have another concept, including 2, 4, and 5. Then I run 3 rounds of user testing and try to fetch qualitative insights and measure the usefulness of each feature against each other in different contexts. That's what I do. So similar to Jackson's question, does this mean validate against as many business canvas sheets, and any suggestion to on optimizing the validation testing costs? Okay, so good questions. When it comes, so if you talk about this is a business idea 1 and this is business 101, the difference could be in pricing. The difference could be in customer relationship. In the business model canvas, the type of the customer relationship you are having. Difference could be in one value proposition or less or more, right? So you want to, the difference between each of these variation should be in one variable. It should not be a cost, also one value proposition. You always want to isolate one variable. That's what I would do. If there is so much difference from business idea 1.1 and 1.2, you cannot call them a variation. A variation often one variable less or more, right? So that's what I would think. If a client is very persistent on one business idea, one category in general, then that's what I would do. Testing cost, validation comes with cost, right? There is no way to avoid costs. I agree. I think Mel is a good point. I think what you need to be worried should be time, not the cost, because we work with corporates. They come in, they spend between 50 to 100,000 euros. Cost for them is not an issue because what they are thinking is they are pouring in. They are potentially want to pour 10 million, 20 million. So for them, it very makes sense to run several validation sprints, spend 50,000, 100,000, depending on how large the project is, to really to make sure that their upfront upside 10 million, 20 million investment is going to work, right? So business by business, entrepreneur by entrepreneur, your tolerance for cost is different. But if you want to really test your idea, let me show you a screenshot. I think I have a screenshot here. Yeah. So these are actual expenses that we had for another sprint that we run. You see the expenses? That's how much you need to be investing. These are the actual projects that for clients. To be able to get 11,000 impression, right? We killed the experiment 5A right away. Didn't generate any impression. Didn't even eat our money, right? So when you want to, I mean, this is our level. We work with corporates and big companies. For them, putting down 1,000 for an experiment is not a big issue, right? So we are generous with our spending depending on the company. Some companies says like, hey, Berat, experiment per experiment maximum 400. We do it. But some companies, they give us a green light. We can go as much as we want because they see numbers. They don't, we're not spending it on anywhere else. When we say like give them an invoice, we say we spent 847 euros on this experiment, and we share them a screenshot, and they see it. So it's not like we're spending it actually to test their ideas, right? So costs come with validation, the period, right? How you want to manage your costs? You could my suggestion would be, if you cost is a concern for you, start with, and let's say start with 200 euro per experiment. That's a lot. Start with 100 euro per experiment. If you have, for example, five experiment total, your total cost will be 500, right? Run it, see what numbers you're getting. Sometimes even in such low amount of budget, you might get surprising results, right? Based on this, you can course correct, jack up increase the spending or decrease it. More questions? Cool. Thank you very much. I hope you found what I discussed useful. I don't know how relevant to you this conversation been. It's a bit nerdy, not amongst our webinar, we don't get so many traction on this. Very specific crowd come to this webinar. Interesting growth marketing technique. TikTok. That's what it's called. TikTok, Melbourne. If you are not on TikTok, get on with TikTok. I'm not a growth marketer. We do validation, but we enjoy thoroughly being on TikTok and growing our community there. It's easy enterprise attention. Thanks a lot for following us, following me, being in this webinar. I really appreciate it. Remember to be strategic with your validations effort. Do not just do focus group and interviews because someone else did it and you think you should do it. Really understand strategically at which level you're validating an idea. Are you thinking about a business model, product idea, or concept of a product? And strategically course correct, navigate, make a plan for your testing. Remember, playing poker without money is a different sport than playing poker with money. Same goes with validation of your business, product, and app idea. You need to invest money so you can get unbiased, real data by which you can inform your decisions. Period. You gotta spend money. Thank you. Have a great evening. Enjoy this webinar thoroughly. Until the next webinar. Oh, by the way, join us on Discord. We have a very, very active Discord family. And I'm there too. So in case you want to come hang out with me, I'm there. Our team is there. I'm more than happy to work with you, talk to you, and take it further.